Hose bind here. I'm going to go over my custom cocker build for you. This thing started out several years ago as a T2, and I put an E-blade on it, original, normal E-blade. I went as far as I did simply because I didn't have the money to do this level of work. Since then I've been able to get the money together and build this thing. I have the T2 main body, back cap, top tube, the back block, the feed neck. That's all that's left from the original gun. The other off-the-shelf parts that I have are Empire Relay ASA regulator, and up front is T2 housing, Palmer's micro rock, and this thing has dual Planet Eclipse ramps and QEVs. The only other standard part on it is the board, which is a Tadao Yakuza board, and like a lot of them, it had the fried screen on it. So I actually purchased the screen from the Sweet Tech and just got that in recently, so that's in there. Everything else on this is custom. So I have custom front block to hold the two rams, and it's kind of hard to see, but the Noid housing is in a slightly different location just to center everything. Custom pump arms, custom trigger, completely built by me, and the last bit is the full trigger assembly. This is just an Exalt Lux cap, carved it out to make that work. This here is just a volume chamber. There's no regulator in this. That's all down here. So there's no hose. There's no way to put an external macro line on this at all. The frame itself, I made that myself out of basically a block of aluminum. Trigger, again, carved that down myself. This part here I actually had my uncle help with. He has metal lathe, so he was able to do that for me. And there's also Stinger grip panels. As you see here, you have the Ego mod for the frame. And one thing I wanted to do, at least on the frame, just to get everything to fit right and how I wanted it, I had to move the whole, basically this whole part is farther back than on a regular autococker. But to do that I ran into problems with the screw, so as you can hopefully see, the screw in there is a hidden screw. So another video that I did previously, I'll kind of to take this apart and I'll go over that in that part. But yeah, this was all done basically over the past 2 years. I've been working on this, about a year of it. Didn't really do a whole lot. I moved, so that took precedent over everything. So this sat for about a year without getting anything done. And this year was just trying to get it anodized and get it together and working. So if you can see here, there is actually a macro line in here. It's actually a little bit smaller than the normal macro line for paintball markers. That's part of the reason why I did the volume chamber, just to keep the air pressure up. The original version of this I did that had a regulator on here, I was getting a lot of shoot down. With this I haven't been getting that, so obviously I did something right. There's just a macro line fitting down in there that holds in the ASA, and that runs up to another macro line fitting up here inside the gun. You'll see that one during the breakdown of it. Again, you have the one screw back here to hold it, and the other one is your VASA main screw that's going to be sitting in there. I haven't gotten this out onto the field a whole lot yet. Got it together and getting it hooked up the way I want, which I'm still working on trying to get that just right. Didn't work right. There's two possible reasons for that. One was, which I found out after I just got this screen, I literally got that last week, was that I'm not making, the eyes aren't registering right. So I have new eyes coming in to try to fix that. The other issue, if I have one, is just the way the pneumatics are connected. If that's the problem, I don't know how I'm going to fix that, but basically if I had this hooked up the way I want, which was a true door ramp setup, you'd have, you know, both pushing and pulling on both ramps. As you can see right now, I don't have hoses hooked up here. To get it to work, make sure everything else worked right, I need to switch it so it's kind of a pusher-puller setup. So this side is actually going to be cocking it back, and then this side is returning the hammer in to get it to work. That actually works. I did take it out onto the field. I was actually running an E1 board in it with no eyes, and it worked pretty well. Got a few broken balls or something in it and kind of jammed it up, and it started shooting weird, so I went back and grabbed a different gun to finish out the day. But you know, while I was shooting, it was actually shooting good. I do have a short video of that with the camera mounted on the barrel, so I'll put that in there just to see it. And again, that was all just that was in classic mode, so you know, you pulled the trigger, it was almost like a mech cocker, and it worked out. Like I said, it worked pretty good, just a little slow, but that was it. The original plan on this was to do a micro switch for the board. I tried to do that myself and ended up frying a board. So until I figure that out, or I can get someone to do it, it's going to be just a mechanical, the optical with a. It's kind of hard to see. Got a little plate attached to the back of the trigger to trip the beam, and actually while I was working on it the one day, I was trying to adjust that and figured out a way that I can actually make this a mechanical response trigger. So that'd be, you know, pull the trigger, it shoots, let go, it shoots. And I do have a little cell phone video of that I could put up there. I'll put up too if I can get that off my phone. But overall, I mean, I'm almost perfectly happy with the way it's going, other than trying to get this thing to completely work right. And just I'm happy that it's at this point. You know, going back, looking back at it, there's a few things I would change. This whole part is a little small in the hand. It's only 3/4 of an inch in diameter, so it's a little small. That was the reason I got the cover on it, just to make that a little bit bigger, a little bit more comfortable in the hand. And that's like the only thing overall that I don't really like. One more change I'm going to do is the eye covers. These are just Delrin that I had carved down for the original version and then modified for this one. I'm going to get some 3D printed ones as soon as I have some time to dedicate to that, which should happen over this next winter. But that's what I have. I have some videos of disassembling it, which I'm going to splice into this, so you can kind of see the internals of it. Other than that, that's all I got. I'm going to disassemble it for you so you can see it on the inside a little bit, and so I can try to fix the leak. First I'll take off the grips, show you the inside workings of it and what I did. If you look on the outside, you can see there's no macro line or anything. That's because this thing is internally plumbed. So that's why the grip frame, trigger frame is a little bigger than you might normally see, but that was required to get it in place. If you see, I got basically an inside macro line going right up here, connects in down here, goes all the way up and over into here, into basically a volume chamber. I'm going to go ahead and take the battery out, and on the back of the grip frame I have the hidden screw to try to keep it clean, and the other screw is actually up in here. Just got to take this part off to get it. Which probably won't come off very easy. Actually it does. And because I'm not a great machinist, just kind of muddling through stuff, some of the connection points aren't absolutely perfect. So this is one of the points I had that was also promising. I got to get that really good. But this is just open tube, open container. Like I said, just a volume. Try to keep more air in there. You know, this is a smaller line than actual macro line. So got that problem. And here is one of the screws, right size. Let's get this by hand. Nope, hang on. There we go. Get that loosened up. Got that, and nope, not that one either. Take the eye covers off, at least loosen them up. And, well, standard ASA or VSA, BASA bolt. On this I am running an MQ2 valve, brake beam eyes, so disconnect all that. One. Maybe I did. And that doesn't want to open. I'm going to pause it here to get this bolt out. Okay, got that screw out, decided it wanted to strip on me, so deal with that. That's why it's always good to keep a set of metrics, because they're slightly bigger or slightly smaller than what you normally will see. Pull that out. You can almost get all that out. Let's see here, I'll zoom in a little bit here. And back here, this is actually slotted for that screw.